And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest episode of the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And joining us tonight, we have a whole slew of guests. Some you might remember, Scott and Mike from Gunset. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having us.
They're going to do this all show, I promise. And, of course, we've got Apache Frank and our beloved Joel Trey with Zach Cox very soon behind, following up, trying to get connected. But we're going to have a full house tonight, folks. But the topic of tonight's discussion is to cover a carbine course that was just hosted by, presented by the Gunset crew. And they were surprised by practically the entire family from Apache Solutions showing up at their training event. So we thought, what a hell of a way to do an after-action report and so get some feedback on the course. But before that, let's go around the room and catch up with everybody. Kent, we didn't do a show last week, did we?
I don't know.
I don't remember. They're all bleeding together, but either way, how you been?
It hurts. Yeah, man. Living the life, teaching the guns, shooting the things, corporate job, firing on all cylinders. James is somewhere between 2 and 18. I really don't know anymore. Sophie's doing a great job with all that, and we're keeping it up. I saw you. So I'm gonna tell some stuff on TJ because he won't do it to himself. I saw TJ come in second in a jiu-jitsu tournament, and the only guy he didn't have to fight was the biggest guy on planet Earth. It looked like a freaking like file cabinet with a jiu-jitsu belt wrapped around it.
So that would be my beloved teammate Johnny, who has earned the nickname Maytag.
Hey dudes, can you all self-mute when you're not yapping?
Yeah.
Appreciate you, love you. Yeah. So your dude, Mr. Maytag, and you decided to do the honorable thing and play rock paper scissors at the end instead of
yeah. So the way we kind of handle it, so our professors handle it a little bit differently. Sometimes they'll just let us duke it out. But
hold on, I'm sorry. Fucking Zach. Every time we try to do a professional operation and we let Zach in, shit just goes, I love you, Zach. We're going to get you in a minute.
Dude, my computer just like, it's a, I
just,
don't even know.
Just throw in the wrench. This is Zach just throwing the wrench. That's,
yeah.
TJ's just doing the Ron Burgundy. He's like, whatever happens, I'm not going off the teleprompter. And Zach's over here like, just, I love it. Anyway.
Miss you, Zach. We're glad you're here.
Thanks.
But yeah, so we decided to not fight each other. Being from the same team, our coach ultimately leaves it up to us. And I was like, look, let's. I just got done already fighting two really big dudes. I know I fight you on the weekends generally, but I will get folded like a piece of paper. So I'm going to pretend like this is all cool and we're just going to do paper, rock, scissors. So he beat me in paper, rock, scissors. But so a really cool tradition was born that same day as I found out that my beloved friend, the refrigerator, is also a June baby. His birthday is right around the same time as ours, Kent. So we have agreed that we will settle it in our own gym every year. So in the next 2 weeks, he and I are going to fight it out. I'm going to bring my silver medal. He's going to bring his gold trophy because that was a challenger division. And he and I will fight every year around our birthday, and the winner and loser will trade medals accordingly. So it's going to be a good time. It's a lot of fun.
My money's on you, man. Last time I rolled with you, I saw the ground and the sky, then the ground, then the sky, then the ground, then the sky.
That's usually what happens when you roll.
Yeah. But the problem was we weren't on the ground. You were just spinning me in your gorilla hands. It wasn't nice.
It is, and that was what, a year ago. Shit,
I got ouched. TJ ouched me bad.
I've gotten a little better.
I have not. So there's that. Let's see. Who else should we hit up around the? Let's do our distinguished guests of honor. Let's talk to the Gunset guys for a minute. So for those playing the home game, it's been 6 or 8 months since these guys have been on the show. Gunset training out of Central Ohio is who's on the show. We've got Scott and Mike, two of their instructors, and Scott is one of the principal owners of the organization. So whichever one of you dudes first want to jump in, say hello and do your thing. Oh, see.
I'll be alpha. Let the alphas go first. Get in relay one. Hey, thanks so much for having us. It's a privilege. We enjoyed our last discussion and really excited to talk a little bit about what we're trying to do and about our recent carbine course. But more than that, I'm interested to hear the other guys' opinions and get some feedback as to what they thought as students. So this is just a great opportunity.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for being here. And so for those playing the home game, Mike is the tactical historian of the group. He's the guy that's gonna put on his powdered wig and do a reenactment for us later. And Scott is the guy that was smart enough to hire him. So Scott, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having us on here tonight. I'm really excited to kind of hear what these guys have to say. Mike, what drew me to Mike and Gunset was his unique perspective. And I mean, there's a million guys doing tactical carbine classes, and I would say half of them maybe shouldn't be. And we didn't want to be that type of organization. We want to know who we are. We want to stay true to that. We're a bunch of citizen civilians, and our mission is to teach people how to be able to protect their home, their property, and to defend liberty and community defense, and to understand the legacy that we have as armed citizens and as riflemen. And so Mike he's an inspiration to me and to everybody who takes his class. So I think it's maybe a little unique in that regard. So I'm proud of him. I'm proud of all the hard work he's put into making this class what it is.
Awesome, man. As is always the case with Scott, he does everything he can to talk about everybody else but himself. Giving the credit where credit's due and all that. Why don't you, for those guys, why don't you give us a little bit of like how you came to running a training company in general? Where'd that start? For you?
Yeah. So I've been a firearms instructor for a while. And, that's a question I get asked a lot. People try to vet me and ask me, what my background was and stuff. I came into this via a pretty non-traditional path. I grew up in a family that shooting was life. I mean, we shot guns all the time. It was recreational and informal, but that was what we did. And my dad's dad, my grandfather, was accidentally shot and killed by his brother, and so he died when my dad was very young. And so my dad got to grow up without a father because they were horsing around with a gun. It was one brother had a hold of a gun and they were just messing around with it. And honestly, I don't know what happened, but the gun went off and it shot my grandfather in the back and paralyzed him. And he died shortly after that from complications. And so obviously that had a pretty big impact on how I was raised around firearms, because that one moment in time where my uncle made a poor decision changed the trajectory of my family forever. I mean, my grandma got remarried and I never got to meet anyone else with the same last name as me until I was 18 years old. And, besides my dad and my brother, and my mom. And so, it was all because that one moment in time that changed everything. So that was kind of my background, was being raised with that little bit of tragedy surrounding firearms. And it was just beat into me at an early age. So when I was in high school, I started hanging out with some friends, started dragging me to church, and I decided I wanted to go into to seminary and to go into ministry. I don't know why. It was something that was kind of sudden. I think my whole family expected that I was either going to go into college or go to into the military, and that was certainly kind of the expectation of me growing up. And I kind of rebelled against that tradition and ended up going to seminary. And the problem is that I got in trouble quite a few times working in churches. Mainly it was my mouth. I don't have a very good filter between what happens up here in my brain and what comes out. So that got me in trouble a few different times. And I got fired from one church because they found out I smoked cigarettes, and they fired me right there on the spot. So after getting fired from a number of different churches, after working in ministry for several years, I needed something else to do. So I started trying to figure out what my next stage was. I had a family, I was married and had a daughter. And it was about this time that I was working at a local university. I was a campus manager for Indiana Wesleyan University, and they were offering business classes and things like that. And I really started getting fascinated with business. And all these things happened almost simultaneously. The local police department in the town where I work called me up, and they asked if I would be interested in being part of the chaplain program that they were wanting to start. And pretty much simultaneously, the gun shop that I spent all my time at called me, and they were looking to grow and expand. They needed someone with some teaching experience, which I had because of church and stuff. And they wanted to know if I would be interested in coming on and teaching firearm safety and things like that. And so kind of simultaneously, I started hanging out with police officers and getting to kind of participate in some of that training, which for me being a civilian at the time, that was really wild and really exciting. And then I started working at the Miami Armory, and they sent me to instructor school, and I just got hooked on training and just became obsessed with it. So, I started teaching. It was a pretty good fit for me because I was used to teaching a subject that I was passionate about. And so, I was passionate about firearms and firearm safety. And so I was teaching those things. And for me, it was very academic. It was something very cerebral. And all that changed 9 years ago when my wife and my daughter were assaulted. And so, I just remember that feeling of helplessness and understanding. For me, like in that moment, it kind of crystallized my mission that this isn't just about me teaching people to have fun with guns, but I don't want anyone to ever experience what we went through as a family. I don't want anyone else to be a victim if we can help it. So that became kind of our mission. And shortly after that, I started teaching more and more and more. I started training more and more. I had so many doors open up for me. Got to train with some of the best instructors in the world at some of the best training schools in the world. I was honored to have been selected as one of the 20 handgun combatives instructors, and ended up going through that certification process. I've been blessed to train with Tom Givens and gone through his instructor certification and the advanced instructor certification, and trained with guys like Jedi and Greg Ellifritz and Wartak and TDI, et cetera. So all along the way, just trying to become the best instructor I could be and build the best training company I could be, all with the singular mission of doing everything we can to not let anybody else be a victim if we can have something to say about it. So we're just a bunch of civilians and citizens that have adopted the armed lifestyle and are trying to spread the gospel of the firearm and self-defense and liberty. And so I'm really sorry I just rambled on for a really long time there, but that's our story as succinctly as I could put it. So did I miss anything, Mike? Was that all pretty much it?
I think you hit it all, man. You're good.
Yeah, it helps to establish a baseline. The more, I mean, you and I have talked about this personally, not on like podcast form either, but the assault of your family, right? Like coming for your wife and your kid. If that doesn't change a person's perspective and outlook, I can't imagine what would. So,
well, it was one of those things where it happened, 2 blocks away from my house, in my neighborhood, and where you think you're safe, where you think you're protected. It was in the middle of the afternoon. It wasn't like my wife was walking down a dark alley on a stormy night. I mean, just down the street, and some dude who was super high and messed up. I don't understand what his motivation was, but he tried to grab my daughter, and he ended up getting arrested and convicted over that whole thing. And like I said, it really crystallized for me the mission of that. This stuff happens all the time, and we hear this stuff all the time. I'll have students in our classes that I don't want to give too many details, but I had a man who was in my class, and the reason he was there was because he and his wife were just abducted. where they work. And at gunpoint, their store was robbed, and they abducted them, and they drove them like 5 miles down the road, and they threw them out. And he remembers thinking, like, I'm lucky that these were nice robbers, you know, like they could have done anything to me and my wife. I couldn't protect her, and I couldn't do anything. There was no options available to me. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to women in our classes who were victims of sexual assault, you know, and through my experience as a police chaplain, you know, riding along and getting a call that someone's kicking in someone's front door, and we get there and there's a mom who's laying in the bathtub with her 4 children, and she's just covering their bodies with her body because that's the only option she has, because she doesn't have any training, doesn't have any force multiplication tools or self-defense tools, and so she's just going to sacrifice her body and lay on the tub on top of the children. So that's why we do what we do. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And the longer you do this, the more people you'll encounter with both the, like, this event brought me to you, and then what's even more rewarding / terrifying is the sense I've gotten with you guys. This happened to me, and I handled it in this way because of what you're able to show me, which, you know, is one of those things that we don't do a lot of talking about because it involves other people's privacy and their lives and stuff, but that shit will shake you. If it doesn't, you're probably not doing this for the right reasons. So, man, this is a chock full episode this evening. We got more gun-toting professionals on the panel. They played the students for this night, but we got the folks from the Carolinas, from the People's Republic of North Carolina down there. We have Frank and Joel and Zach.
No
say hi.
Hi.
Yes, Zach, that was great. I don't suppose you could do any more of an intro than hi. Who wants to go first? Out of the 3 of you goofballs.
Yeah, I'll go. We again, we're glad to be here. For those of you who don't know us, we're part of the Apache crew. The 3 of us help instruct up at Apache. Joel Trey does more of the social media thing, but you can still rock the gun pretty good. Yeah, we're excited to be here, and I don't want to give too much too early, but the class was awesome, and we'll be diving into that, I'm sure, here in just a little bit, and I'm really glad that you can bring us on tonight.
Yeah, man. Well, you guys, so Scott said about opening doors, right? We've all found each other through this one passion and this one pursuit in our lives. And it's amazing how many quality people you get to meet. And then you meet Zach.
Very true.
No, we got that's the point. You got to quit meeting men on the internet.
No. So in all seriousness, the dudes and ladies at Apache are some of the most quality human beings I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. We got like 3 parents on the line tonight listening to this, and I promise none of your sons sent me any money to say the nice things I've been saying about them in the chat. That's all exactly how I feel about these 2 guys. And Frank, he's not a person. I'm not sure what Frank is, but he's a whole nother level of human being.
No money, just pictures.
No money, just pictures. That's it. So what's interesting to me, right, is that all these desperate, different types of people and different personalities find their way through common concerns and common things they want to learn and know about, and they become great friends. And that's kind of what we've all bonded over, is that same similar drive. And all the people on this thing have that same similar drive, but not all of them are. Trey, are you 18 or 9? How old are you, Trey? Are you 23, 24?
25.
Holy smokes, you might have made it to, my God almighty. If I was a third as smart as you are when I was 25, I'd be a billionaire by now.
I don't know about all that.
My goodness. But seriously though, so here's a guy who was born in a different decade than I was by some, and we can come together over stuff like this. Trey, man, I love you. What are you doing tonight? He drugged you out here. He beat you with a stick and said you must get on camera. Get on the other side.
That's kind of how it goes. I'm always on the other side of the camera. I'm not so good in front of the camera, but yeah, he talked me into it, and get to see all y'all smiling faces, so that's always fun.
No, I'll tell you what, man. Don't sell yourself short because I am a active subscriber and viewer of Apache's social media, and dude, you run the Cultural Fridays with you are fantastic. Zach, you do okay, but don't
I appreciate it, man.
So no, man, don't sell yourself short, bro. You certainly deserve to be here.
I appreciate it, man. And before we get too serious, hey, Mom. Just wanted to say hey.
Dude, if you don't do the "Hey Mom" shout out, I mean, I spiked you up. You better do that.
Hello, Horvath parents, Mom.
Yeah, hell yeah. My mom. This is my damn show, and his damn show, and not our parents don't. Do you parents watch it?
Fuck no.
No, they don't care about it. They care nothing whatsoever. We have
my parents have far better things to do, like watch Jeopardy, go to bed after sundown, not be disappointed in their eldest son.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see the families jump in. Well, we will bear.
Hey.
She says, "Mama says, hey, baby."
While you guys are piling on to Joel Trey, I just want to say I really appreciate him and his talent, man. He is some of the stuff that he's been putting out lately has been pretty amazing. And did you see I downloaded like 20 pictures last night?
I did. You're my second customer ever on that site. I appreciate it.
Man, I couldn't wait, man. As soon as, I could wait. I actually really drug that out. I apologize. Yeah, but last night I did it, and man, once I started looking at those pictures, I was so impressed. I just couldn't stop buying them. So good job, man.
And I really appreciate it.
Wait, what site is this?
It is
don't worry about it.
snapshotswithaz.co.
That's your site where you're selling picture stuff?
That's me.
Excuse me while
Did I just out you? Did I just out you?
No, but yeah, it's not been public yet, but it needs to be.
So it's public right now.
It's now public.
Yep.
I didn't just out you, did I, man? I'm sorry.
No, not really. I just hadn't blasted
All
everywhere
right.
yet, but it needed to be done. So thank you.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. You're killing it.
No,
I appreciate
let's do this proper. What's the name of the site again, Trey?
Onlyfans.com/
No, snapshotswithaz.co without the M.
So that's
All right.
SNAPSHOTZ. There you go. Yeah, look at that. Hey, fancy.
Yay, worldwide exclusive across all 12 states in this union.
That was good. I like that. 12 states.
But yeah, no, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome, Trey. We're definitely proud of you, man. But in all seriousness, while we've been busting his chops up until this point, Zach, what's up, man? How have you been, dude? And let me say that of all the Pit Viper sunglasses rocking people, you with that faux hawk you got going on, you pulled them off probably the best, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There he is.
And of course, you've got Mike the historian over here. What? Kent, we gotta get up on the ball here, man.
Dude, I'm blind as shit. I can't wear those things.
They will fit over the
They'll
windshield
go
of your
over
Jeep,
glasses.
bro.
Hey, they make prescription glasses. They have prescription inserts for your Pit Vipers. Just
Dude,
saying.
the fox.
I don't have a Pit Viper
He's got
face.
the fox. I can't really
Yeah, you
see,
do.
baby.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do.
No. Everybody does.
Absolutely.
It's so dumb.
Look at
Everybody
the fox. Oh, I love Eddie. Cannot believe you have that fox.
I love it.
So, and of course, Mike.
I'm never giving it up, man.
Of course,
This is
Mike.
a real fox.
I believe it.
Jesus.
If it doesn't come alive right now, it's going to be a missed opportunity.
Hey,
Dude,
you
Kent
don't even understand the
manga.
story of this fox right here, man. This is something this might have been the nicest gift that's ever been given to me by anybody, and I'm never going to be separated from it ever.
Dude, it was given to you by a drunk guy.
I know it meant so much. It meant so much to me. Look at this tail.
Look at this tail.
I don't know, but you just showed the fox's butthole on the internet. So now it's not a family show anymore.
I mean, there's worse things to show on the internet. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
But let's jump to Mike before this derails too much farther. Mike, the ever quiet professional. How have you been, my friend?
I've been fantastic. You know, it's been one of like the
whoa,
busiest.
no, hold on. Put those back on, my friend.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Let your soul shine.
It's been one of the busiest seasons that I've had the last several weeks. I mean, a lot of preparation and a lot of thought and planning goes into any class that we do. So knowing that this one was coming up is taking much time. And it's been a busy couple weeks for lots and lots of reasons. And I'm on the downhill slide, so I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
Oh my goodness! All right,
I'm going to take him off, and I'll get serious just for a second because I kind of want to piggyback. You know, Scotty did a fantastic job, kind of explaining one of the core mission statements of Gunset. You know, word's kind of gotten out around now, especially in our area, just by word of mouth. And as he says, we get a lot of people coming in with some really tragic stories, and it's just heart fulfilling to be able to help them on the path. So that's the micro. We also have kind of a macro vision, and that's really what has given me a ton of fulfillment and gratitude that Scotty brought me on board. So kind of a macro view is that, you know, there's almost not much that's more important to me than Western Enlightenment values and all that's gone into that. I'm talking back philosophy, hundreds, sometimes even thousands of years. We can go all the way back to like Aristotle and start with what is and what is not, and what is truth, and everything that led in a chain that brought us to this great nation that we're privileged to live in today. I think it's just absolutely phenomenal. I believe in divine providence. I think that that's truly what it is. And so having the opportunity that, yes, you know, we're going to teach you how to shoot a gun. Absolutely. We're going to make you more accurate. We're going to make you faster. We're going to make you more efficient. We're going to teach you the skills that you need to be able to defend yourself. But for us at Gunset, like there's more to it than that. There's what does it mean to be an armed civilian? Like all of us carry guns every day. You know, I don't think we've been in a ton of gunfights. Those are relatively rare, thank goodness. But carrying a gun every day and having that mindset and passing on to others the principles and the values that we believe in is truly what makes this country part of what it is. So being able to instill those values and do all that is just a huge honor.
Yeah, and I would even kind of pile onto that real quick is just, you know, we are, I feel like we know who we are and we don't try to be anybody who we're not. And I think that's been something that's maybe been a struggle for me in the past, you know, is trying to be something for everybody. And, you know, these guys have really helped us kind of dial in on that. And, you know, we've got an awesome team. We've got 8 instructors now working with us who, you know, we are of one mind, you know, when it comes to this sort of stuff. And so we have fun, you know, I mean, we have a blast. You're going to have a tough time unless you go to North Carolina finding a group of guys that have more fun than we do. But at the same time, man, we, you know, we have, you know, a kind of a clear vision of what we're trying to accomplish with both micro and macro. And it's that balance that I'm very proud of. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, you can come to us
and I'm sorry if I just
faster.
insulted everyone else who wasn't in Ohio or North Carolina. Okay.
That's all right. You know, we're very upfront, like in our classes.
We
like,
have
hey, when you come to a Gunset class, you're not going to get the barrel rolls out of the helicopter. Like that's not us. That's not our world.
Not yet.
That's not the world we operate in. Easy there. You know, we're going to make you faster. We're going to make you more accurate. We're going to make you more skilled. But we know who we are and we know the mission that we're trying to achieve. And it's not becoming that, you know, ninja tier 1 operator like that. That's not who we are. That's not our background. So we're trying to get across an idea of, rather than, you know, being a mile deep and an inch wide in one skill set and doing everything you can to try to get that split down to like, you know, 0.16, get that down into like that jailbait territory. You know, once you get to a certain level on that, how about you go a little bit wider and you try to be more well-rounded? We want to have Renaissance shooters. We want people who are a mile wide and an inch deep that have skills in mindset, situational awareness, you know, empty hand techniques. shotgun, rifle. You don't need to be the best rifle operator in the entire world and beat out, Chris Costa circa 1996 in some drills when you're on the timer. You just need to be proficient. So anyway, we're working up. We want you not to be a tier 1 operator. We want you to be a tier none operator. A lot of times some folks will say, hey, I don't have that military background. I don't have whatever it is, which we honor those people, and that's amazing, but not everybody can have that background. Be proud of who you are and be proud of why you carry a gun and do it to the best of your ability. You don't need to be tier 1. Try being tier none.
So what you're saying is that I need to be wider than I am deep.
You can be as wide as you want to be because you're beautiful.
Okay, well then I'm all set. I am absolutely wider than I am deep. I have this figured out. Sorry, Trey's mom. Anyway, so I was going to be serious before.
Maybe a couple inches deep.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe not then. I was going to be serious before I was going to be funny, and now I'll be serious again. So there's been a overwhelming theme here, and it wasn't. Somebody actually asked me, like, wow, you guys do a lot of show prep and a lot of research, and oh my, like, yeah, look at TJ laugh. Like, you guys really plan these things out, and
hold up. We segue to this, right? Here's our show prep. We go live Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Monday at 9:30 at night. Kent messages me screenshots. Hey, bud, we're going to have the Apache guys at Gunset on the show. Can you make that happen? Yeah, man, first thing in the morning. Yeah. What are we talking about again? Their rifle class. Okay.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I was at work all day, and my phone was blowing up like crazy. Like, just I had like 300 unread text messages, and I checked it at one point, and I see someone say, okay, that sounds like that's what we're going to do for the show then. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to be here tonight. So that's how I found out about it.
But yet, so here's where I'm going with this. Several of the people who have spoken have said similar words. We've heard mission. We've heard Western values. We've heard a theme of religion having something to do with our mindset and our upbringing and our viewpoints. We've got a gentleman who is a chaplain. We've got a gentleman who was raised by a pastor. We have some good old boys from North Carolina who, were raised to say a prayer before they ate some dinner, right? We have very similar mindsets that we are all applying to this topic. And yet, nobody said, hey, hit the mission statement real hard. Nobody said, hey, talk about what it means to you as individuals. All we did was start talking like we always do. This damn show could be a bunch of us in my backyard with bourbon, and it would be the same conversation. I say all that to say this. You're getting the real honest to God. Like, there's no churched up marketing going on here. These dudes are being who they are. I assure you that he really does have a fucking fox for some reason, which we'll find out later. I assure you they all have the silly sunglasses that are way cooler than mine. And I assure you that when Mike says he's dead ass serious about 500 years worth of rifleman history, he's equally as serious. That's who we're talking about here. This matters a lot to me because we get a lot in the gun community of cultural gerrymandering where we get blamed for who's going to come on a gun podcast. Oh, it's just going to be a bunch of these like rah, 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 guys. And nobody has made that sound except for me, and I just did it in jest. Mike is one of the more articulate people I've spent time talking about historical stuff with. He's no shit. He knows his history. TJ and Frank are computer beat boopers like you wouldn't believe. These guys can like hack anything on planet Earth or unhack anything depending on your point of view. Zach runs a successful business in his own right, doing things in landscaping. Trey's a good photographer. My point is, any one of these dudes outside of this conversation, I doubt would jump out to you as, oh, that's the guy that does rifle classes every weekend, or that's the guy that's the pistol dude, or that. We're just all regular people who happen to all have this as a very serious part of our lives and something we take we take a lot of great pride in. And for me, when students come to people like us and need help, they come to us from where they are, and they start making excuses. Well, I'm not a military guy. I'm not a law enforcement guy. I'm not a tier 1 sniper, SEAL, Ranger, Delta, Dev Gru, helicopter tumbler dude, or I'm not this or I'm not that. Nobody else here is either. Nobody. TJ has the most military experience in the room, I believe, unless I speak out of turn by a long shot. That doesn't mean anything relative to the conversation of being a civilian and using the tools to defend yourself and your family. So if that's the case, it's almost like you can learn this from any number of different types of people.
Let me point something out, kid, because let's just even say, for example, that I was the most experienced, right? At least in the forum that upon the dais that we have before us, right? All of my time in the military, and I know we've got some new viewers in the show. Appreciate you guys all joining the chat. Love you all equally. It's amazing to see that we continuously have a growing audience here when we do these live broadcasts. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I didn't learn 10% of what I know now about firearms and shooting and marksmanship, and to Scott and Mike's points, the no tier or the tier 0 operator, tier none operator. I didn't learn half of that stuff when I was in the military. I was reminded of firearm safety and discipline. I was taught marksmanship at distance, right, up to 300 meters. But as far as the skill set that I have today, I can attribute absolutely none of that to the military. Mindset, maybe. I'll give them that much. But all the stuff that these guys are teaching, like what I'm saying all that to say this: do not fall victim to the same stereotype that firearms instructors have had in recent history, right? If you weren't law enforcement or if you weren't military, you ain't shit, right? You're not a good instructor. Well, that's absolute garbage. It's absolute trash. And I would even caution. Go ahead, Mike.
I begin every class that we teach saying that the most important question, my favorite question, I hope I get asked a million times today, is the question why. Hey, instructor Mike, why are we going to do this? Or why are we not going to do this other thing that I've heard? And who you get your instruction from when you're vetting your instructors, make sure that they can answer the why that's appropriate for you. Like in a rifle class, when I teach one of our very first, stance lessons, say, hey, we're gonna square up to the target, shoulders forward towards target. And somebody says, well, why? Well, that's a great question. If I happen to be that tier 1 Delta Ranger underwater sniper guy, maybe my why would be, well, you got 7 buddies and they're all stacked up with their hands on my shoulder, and we're going to get ready to dynamically enter a room so we know which corner to dominate and where we're going to go. And hey, you got to square up so that your plates are towards the threat. So when rounds are incoming, they're just going to bounce off and you will be unaffected. You don't want to blade because you get a pass through. But I'm like, well, that's awesome. And that might apply to some people. But to me and my wife and my 9-year-old kid, that's not my world. That's not my realm. That's not my why. My why is going to be, hey, I want you to be balanced. I want you to be forward so you can be aggressive, control recoil, and also be ready to explode and move in any direction. That's why we're going to square up. That's our why. So it's really important to always ask that question, why, and figure out if the techniques that you're trying to learn, really matter in your real world.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. And the reality of the situation is, and folks, I don't want to be dismissive of my brothers and sisters who, obviously have served in many capacities in the military and law enforcement, far beyond the level of experience that I myself might have had. We've had many guests on the show that have had those experiences. Don't discount the skill set and the mentality and the capability that they do bring to the table, but do not let that be the sole qualifier for what makes a good instructor. That's what I'm getting to.
Very cool. All right. So now we're going to do the job we came here to do, which is to murder board the couple days of rifle training with the folks from Gunset, right? AKA AAR, After Action Report. So again, this is now just a couple of dudes who took a class talking about their experiences in said class, what they took away. The group of guys on here have I have sat around enough freaking ranges that are dark when they did have light on them, and had these conversations with the guys already. Like, hey, what did we do wrong? What did we do right? What could be done better? Et cetera, et cetera. That I will tell you a couple of things. Number one, and this is for the listener. This isn't to lay out the rules for these dudes because they already know. But rule number one is there's obviously no getting on your knees and bowing to Jesus here. This isn't a suck off. This isn't a circle jerk. This is an honest, like, let's talk. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is criticism should come with a actionable suggestion, not just, I thought this drill sucked. Well, why? I don't know. I just didn't like it. What would you have done with that time instead? Is the follow up, not just like, hey, I like this or I didn't like that, but again, the why. And obviously is just that we're here to give a live real world review of the experience of training. What we are not here to do is give you the 16-hour POI for Gunset's rifle class. The way you get that is to go to their website and put a credit card in, and then show up to the class with a gun and shit and do it yourself. So what you as the viewer should not expect is well, great, I watched this podcast or I listened to this podcast and now I don't have to take the class. That is certainly not the point. Fair enough. Anybody not with me on that?
No, I think you nailed it 100%.
Cool. Good deal. All right. So I'm gonna start with the questions, and I'm gonna let the boys hit kind of going around the room, and when appropriate, obviously the Gunset dudes are here to jump in and further explain or to reply or what have you, and it'll be a worthwhile experience and pretty valuable for everybody, I hope, as Scott leaves the fox to do his talking for him. That's perfect. So real quick, Zach, give me just your overall, like, what did you expect going to a Gunset rifle class? What did you expect to get?
Honestly, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what to expect because it was my first real rifle class. I've done some rifle stuff with Fletch and learned a lot from Fletch, which Fletch. I've really been working with him, but it was my first real rifle class. So I didn't really know what to expect with that. I wasn't thinking too highly of my rifle skills. But I also knew about these guys through Apache, and I've heard so much about Gunset and Scotty and Mike, and so I was really excited, looking forward to it, and I knew it was going to be a blast with Trey and Frank and all the other guys, and I was looking forward to it, and it was super awesome. It was a great weekend and a great class. So
Zach, something I'm curious about though, real quick, being that this was like your first formal rifle class, like what was your mindset like when it comes to what, for lack of a better term, gunfighting, gunfighting with a rifle or, carbine craft, whatever we want to label it for this. What was your mindset about your rifle setup and deploying a rifle and using it effectively? Like, where do you kind of rate your skill set before taking the class? And now that you've taken the class, how much of an improvement do you think you had personally?
That's hard to say. Reason why, of course, there's 1,000 reasons why I own rifles and want rifles and love rifles, but I also live on a 100-acre farm, and I always carry a rifle everywhere we go around the farm to protect cows from coyotes, whatever it is. So that could be a 25-yard shot or a 400-yard shot or further. Going into it, I don't even know how to rate that, man. If I'm thinking like I did before I started training in pistols, I would have thought that I was a lot better than what I was. and then started training in pistols and realized that I sucked. After doing a lot of stuff with Fletch, like I started getting better and better, but I would say that I was a decent shooter before I went into the class. And afterwards I learned a lot, but I know the same thing with pistols. I'm still a decent shooter with a rifle. It didn't change my skills and abilities, but they gave me the tools to learn, practice, grow, and continue. You don't just change in one day, is what I've learned. But they gave me a lot of the tools to become a much better shooter and to actually master that craft over time. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That's absolutely adequate answer. As a matter of fact, I would even say that it probably resonates with a lot more of our viewers than we could even think, right? We all hear the old adage, I've been shooting since I was knee high to a grasshopper. My granddaddy taught me this. My granddaddy taught me that, right?
Sure.
It's to say that everybody that's going into a rifle class is going to be an absolute novice is unfair. There are still a lot of basic principles that carry over even into the more advanced training that just get refined and tweaked just a little bit, right? They get that polish. And also, I would say probably more importantly, and to speak to, Scott and Mike's, what I know to be their approach to things just from even talking to them, the explanation as to and justification as to why you do those things, right? Why that refinement? Why do that? And that can be the tipping point in a lot of people's, skill set development. So that's awesome, man. I appreciate that.
Cool. So, real quick, we'll toss the same kind of question to Trey. So Trey, what did you expect other than to party it up with your buddies up in the Ohio and to hang out with men wearing American flag singlets and whatever else occurred? Like, what did you expect to get out of a 2-day rifle class?
Well, it was a 1 day, but I wasn't quite sure. I mean, I had high expectations because I'd met Scotty and Mike and the crew before, so I knew the kind of guys I was getting involved with, and I held their teaching to a high standard. So I expected a high caliber class, but like Zach, this was my first ever carbine class. I'd never taken a rifle class before, so I kind of went in there with the attitude that I'm probably going to be the worst shooter on the line, and was okay with that and just wanting to learn. And I feel like they did a great job of bringing me up to speed. Like you asked Zach, or TJ asked Zach, how much of an improvement do you feel like he made? And for me, it's kind of like the Dunning-Kruger effect. I don't know what I don't know with rifles. I'm so new to it that I don't know how far this goes. If it's anything like pistols, I imagine it's pretty similar to pistols. But so I said that they gave me a fantastic base. I can stance, grip, side alignment, transitions, reloads, stoppage clearing. I mean, all that I feel like I can confidently do now. And that's something that I had no idea how to do before. So it set me up for success and get me a really good foundation to start growing on.
Very cool. So interestingly enough, you two specifically, like having never taken formal rifle training before, all the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours you've spent on the range as pistol students and pistol instructors. And yet when you go to a rifle class, one of your first thoughts is, oh shit, I'm going to be the worst guy on the line. Frank, will you smack him real quick?
My pleasure.
Stop it. Stop with the self-deprecation and the concern about performance and start worrying about the damn process and the learning objectives, and don't rate yourself against everybody else, right? And he knows this. Dude, of all people, YouTube dudes, oh yeah, I know. It's fun to know one. It happens to me too. It happens to all of us. We allow the minute our comfort zone is changed. It's still a gun class. It's still a range. There's still some dude standing up there yapping at you. He's still telling you to do some things that you wouldn't have done otherwise, blah, 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 blah. But we take the 2 hands in the thing and turn it into 2 hands in a thing, and all of a sudden now it's a whole different thing. It's so funny to me because we over-concern ourselves with stuff like that on the way in. And it's human nature. We have so many so many students who come and when you say, hey man, what were you expecting? Oh man, I was expecting to be, you know, just last week we're reviewing Jedi's class with 3 guys, and all 3 guys said something very similar. Oh man, I was afraid I'd be the worst guy in the line. And I'm always like, that's what I'm here for, man. That's my job. You go do something else. I'll be the worst guy in the line. It'll be fine. Just freaking relax and learn something. And it's funny that that's still, even for somebody as seasoned as you guys are in the training world, the minute the delivery system changes, those thoughts creep back into your head. That's kind of funny to me.
I was trying not to die from heat stroke wearing that plate carrier, man. It was so hot.
And for me, it wasn't so much a concern about being the worst guy on the line. It was allowing myself to be, if I was, allowing myself to be that person and not be ashamed of it, you know? And when you go into something new, you're probably going to be one of the worst persons on the, like if I go to jiu-jitsu right now, I'm going to be the worst person in jiu-jitsu because I've never taken a class. But I have to be okay with that in order to learn.
But you have huge arms, Trey.
That doesn't mean anything.
And, hey, if you don't mind me interrupting just for a second, only because I don't think we've said it yet. So, you know, we have a rifle curriculum. This was our tactical rifle fundamentals course. This was our level 1 course. So just for folks, you know, watching while we're discussing that, you know, we work up over time to get into some more advanced skills by the end of the day. But it's a 1-day class, and like we start with square one. Like this class is intended for, hey, I just bought this rifle. Can you help me take it out of the box? Like, you know, really quickly we go over some fundamentals. But by the end of the day, like, you know, we're moving a little bit. We're doing some transitions. We're doing malfunction clearing in a very shorter time. We try to get there. So I don't know. I just wanted to mention that because it's great. It makes my heart feel good. You were saying like, hey, you know, I've not had a rifle class before. I thought I was going to be the worst person on the line. And then I didn't see them crying at the end of the day. So I just wanted to jump in and give
so much more than that
context.
It was so much more than that. The class wasn't just like, hey, here's how to unwrap your new gun. It was so much more than just a basic class. It really was very in depth. There was a lot of knowledge in it, and there was a lot of really good, meaty material that is going to take some chewing on and digesting. It really was. Like even those tier 1 shooters, they come back to a class like this because it's the fundamentals. It's what I've been learning and Trey's been learning with pistols, and what we both realized this weekend. It's exactly what we do with pistols, but we're starting fresh with a rifle. And so we're going to do really cool stuff with it, but we're always going to come back to this class. And it's not just some dumb, simple class that means nothing. It was huge. It was a phenomenal class, and I wouldn't blow smoke up your butt. I got your butt, but I won't blow smoke up your butt.
All right, easy. I mean, only because you're getting me excited, but easy. Frank, so wow, we're all being nice to each other. Frank is the ringleader of these sorts of things happening. There's no question that Frank is the one who was like, hey, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to fill a van with people, and we're going to go to Ohio, and we're going to fuck with Scotty and Mike. Like, you know for sure that Frank put out time, effort, energy, resources, the whole thing to come up and surprise. What do you got, Scott? Scotty's like, what?
So we haven't even really talked about this, I don't think, that we didn't know any of these guys were coming.
Right.
At all.
Right. So that's Frank for you. Yeah.
So Frank, if you want to go ahead and tell him what happened, go ahead and let him know exactly how much planning and thought went into this, because it blew me and Mike's mind. I mean,
a lot more planning than what goes into this show. I can tell you that.
We were so confused as to what was happening, and we had no idea like what we were going to do with, you know, all these dudes who didn't have internet access, who were signing up for our class, who didn't have rifles, we're getting all these emails and stuff. Like, we were ready for a pretty different class. So go ahead and tell them what happened.
All right. So shortly after we came back from Ohio, from the Apache guys going and teaching the AEDC, I think it was it was Mike or Scott. One of you guys had mentioned your tech rifle class. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. So came back to North Carolina, and I was like, hey Trey, let's go to tech rifle class. And it just kind of worked out. Something else that we had originally planned to go up there and do, we were going to take a range master course, fell through. So instead of doing that, we were able to, do the your tech rifle class, and it just kind of snowballed. We went to another class, and we had invited a couple other people, and 2 became 3, became 4, became 5, and like literally the Memorial Day weekend, we're like not far from the class at all. Like the week. By the end of the week we're supposed to be taking the class. But that Monday we didn't have transportation secured yet. We had the rooms and everything secured yet. We had 5 guys that had agreed to go to this class. And then that Monday we were sitting, we kind of did a little thing out here, and we were just thinking of other guys because we had space for 8 dudes. So we were thinking, who else can we invite? So we it was just on a whim, texted 3 more dudes. One of the guys we asked in person that was out here, and to our surprise, everyone said yes. Like, yeah, we're going. So then we're going, holy crap. How are we going to get 8 dudes to Ohio? Like, what are the logistics of this? We, like I said, was it Wednesday?
I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. We were able to secure a van RV thing that we all crammed inside of and drove.
It's like a box truck.
It's a box truck.
A converted. Yeah. It's an amazing box truck of destiny, is what it is. It was incredible.
Hold on. Y'all have no idea the amount of inexplicable vehicle nonsense that I have seen Frank pull. How's Frank getting to gun class this week? A spaceship, for fuck's sake. Like, what is Frank going to roll in? It's like the Oscar Mayer. Yeah, look at
there we go. Yeah.
Fucking course. It's like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is rolling in. It's like, hey, how is Frank? The one time Frank pulls up to a gun class by himself in a Kia Optima, I'm gonna be so sad. We'd be like, there's nothing special about this at all.
I just want to point out the fact that there was not an airbrushed wizard and dragon painted on the side of that panel van.
That's coming.
Not yet.
That's a missed opportunity.
Not yet.
I mean,
Did it have a shower in it? Was there water in there?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It had,
can I show the shower?
Yeah, go ahead and show the shower. This was on our way
Oh,
out.
there it is.
Yes, that is ice and
Loads of
sodas.
Water bottles.
Sodas.
Yeah.
Hydration.
Hydration. Yeah.
So just to back up a second, so we had gotten all these registrations from all these different. Now we find out from fake emails, and we thought we were having this big, like, can we say like what we really thought, Mike? Like we thought it was like, well, I mean, it turned out it was going to. We thought it was going to be a bunch of like 70-year-old like hillbillies that were rolling into this class who didn't have internet access and stuff, and their names were ridiculous.
Yeah, like
we had Harry Johnson.
Yeah,
we had Harry Johnson sign up.
There we go. There's Harry Johnson right there.
There's Harry Johnson's certificate right there. We had Bartholomew Mackey.
Mackey.
Yeah.
So, and just the email correspondence, as Scotty kind of mentioned to it, led us to think we're getting some interesting students. And in my head, because nothing's scary,
we love that.
Keep your students away, but I do quite a bit of talk on zeroing and like 10 minutes on what exactly is a minute of ammo and how do we very precisely apply that to a rifle. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know the ballistics of a 30-30. Like what? How am I going to take my 5.56 50-yard zeroing talk and apply this to a 30-06 or something?
And we love a challenge, and we want anyone and everyone to come to this class. Like our class is for everybody, but we were preparing for a very different group. Okay.
So wait, I want to know, hold on a sec, because let me back this up.
Bartholomew.
As the proprietor of a firearms training company, the last time Frank pulled this stunt, I immediately called out that these were some bullshit, fake ass emails. It didn't even occur to you, did it?
No, not even a little bit. I even made the certificates up, and I was like, Harry Johnson. That's a goofy name.
Michael Hunt.
There was another one. Yeah, Mike Hunt was one of the students. I'm like, Mike Hunt. Oh, that poor guy probably got made fun of in high school. I mean, that's all I'm thinking. Hey, I'm glad he's coming to class. So we knew Frank was going to come through. Maybe like it was even like we weren't even sure if Frank was showing up or not. Like he was, maybe going to make it. So Saturday morning, me and Mike are getting the range set up and stuff, and getting the classroom all ready. And in pulls this box truck van thing, right?
War van.
And I'm like, what the hell is that? I mean, it's huge and noisy. And I'm like, what the hell is that thing? And I'm like, oh my God, that's Frank. And so we go outside and we give Frank a big hug, and we're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, hey, we made it, He's like, hey, you guys want to check out my box truck? We're like, yeah. So we walk around to the back of it, and I wish he had gotten this on camera because, like I said, I just thought it was Frank. He opens up the back of the box truck, and 8 dudes come piling out of this thing. Yeah. And I didn't know what was happening. Like, I had no idea. My first thought is, like, I told Frank he could come, but, like, what are we going to do with all these other – like, we don't have enough target stands. Like, we don't have enough – like, the logistics of it immediately are overwhelming me. Like, I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, what are these guys going to do?
It was panic all over Scott and Mike's face.
I'm
it was like
you smell that? You smell that? It's fear.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, and then I don't even know who said it, but, like, it suddenly dawned on us, like, all at the same time that, like, we
started introducing the guys by the names
that
we had bought for. Yeah, Harry Johnson, aka Zach Cox, et cetera, et cetera. So,
man,
yeah, it was.
So I was good. Like, you assholes, since you guys did this to me, you're gonna come help me set up the range. So I put them to work immediately. So.
Oh, that's freaking classic.
All right. Sorry. That's how this all came to be. Yeah.
Well, no. So here's the thing, though. Like, I still to this day, every time my neighbor asks me about my firearms training business, he's like, "How are them from North Carolina, anyhow?" I'm like, they're good, thank you. He's like, "Do you remember?"
They make an impression.
He's like, "Do you remember the time they slept in a bus in your driveway?" I'm like, "No, I totally forgot the time. These motherfuckers rolled up to my house and put a city bus in the middle." No, that never, like, that doesn't cross my mind at all. Like, the level of epicness with which life is lived in the Apache organization is something that's like, it's like Jackass, but with guns and less drug abuse. That's pretty much where we're at. Like,
a little more
It
responsibility.
sounds like a bad idea when you say it like that. It sounds really terrible.
A group of dudes who are hilariously gallivanting about the country doing something they love. Substitute guitars and skateboarding for guns and training, and there you have it. And what's funny is this ragtag group of like crazy dudes have like real adults that show up and do stuff and pay and learn, and you got chiropractors and freaking lawyers and you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing to see.
They were perfect students. They were perfect students. They weren't a distraction. I thought there's a potential when you have a group of friends show up like that they're going to be playing grab ass and that they're going to be a distraction. They weren't. They spread out. They were interacting with everybody else. They were very professional. So as an after-action report for the Apache crew, and not just them, all of the students that showed up that day put in a phenomenal effort. It was really hot and terrible. And, that was one of the challenges that we had. We had to take a lot more breaks, longer breaks, I guess I should say, than we normally would, trying to make sure everybody was staying hydrated. I mean, when you got all these guys wearing plate carriers and stuff like that, like you got to keep an eye on them and make sure everybody's being healthy and safe. And so, that was certainly a challenge we had to overcome, but they were great. And honestly, it was a real blessing to have all these guys show up. So it was a great surprise.
Very cool.
It was a great surprise.
All right, so let's run through some of the more serious topics. I'm gonna toss this to Zach because P.S. Zach, when I'm down there teaching,
Frank just got skipped.
He doesn't love me anymore.
No. This is a Zach topic. That's right.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. I did skip, Frank. I never asked you what you expected out of the class.
Okay.
My bad.
Hey, normally I get skipped, Frank.
That's bad podcast. Yeah, that's true. I could skip a lot. So go, Frank. What did you expect?
I'll be quick. I expected nothing less but greatness. No. So briefly, just talking. Meeting Scott, meeting Mike at the AEDC course prior when we were up there. I knew that I haven't taken a class from them before, but just speaking with them, I kind of could gauge the kind of caliber.
Dude, Kent, me and you were about to lose it, man. Me and Kent were just like
Landon
Nelson.
Sorry.
Landon should have went on the trip with us.
Of Apache Solutions fame for the audio. Who can do a Landon voice? Hold on, I'll try to do a Landon. Why is it that when we leave North Carolina, it's always hotter than a possum in a pepper field with a blowtorch wherever we end up? That's what Landon says.
Landon's a trip. Anywho, so just talking with those guys, I could tell that they're kind of passionate about what they teach and what they believe. And having a conversation with Mike. Mike honestly was the first person that I had ever talked to who could articulate why the average concealed carry citizen needs to have a carbine or have a rifle, and that blew my mind. So that honestly is what I was looking forward to most going to this class. I've been to other classes before. I've been to other rifle classes. Like I kind of had a general idea, general knowledge of what you're supposed to do. Now to say most of those other classes were experiences, they weren't. It wasn't training. So there's a definitely delineation there, but it was still. I still already had some sort of platform, even if it wasn't the most accurate, best platform to have established. But my expectation going in was, I was a little more on the whole, mother hen kind of thing. All right, guys, this, we the night before, guys, we had a good time today. We had a good time coming up. Make sure you hydrate. We need to be in bed by X. Next morning we're rolling out by X. Before we got there, on the way there, I'm like, all right, guys, remember we're repping Apache here. We need to make sure that, our T's are crossed, our I's are dotted, et cetera, et cetera. So, as far as on that side, that was a little more stressful on me. Not that our guys were a great group of guys that I went up with, but most of them, this was the very first Apache trip ever for almost all of them, or, just about all of them. It was the first training thing that they've done outside of Apache. So like a lot of these guys, like we had not been together with them before. So it was a little bit of an unknown. So again, everyone gelled really well, especially on the ride up. So everything, meshed really well. And I could say the class was just absolutely phenomenal with the feedback that we got from those guys. Again, and we'll touch base, as long as we have time, we'll touch base on, some of their criticisms and, the things that they felt like was covered well and things that, could have been done better. But no, it was a terrific course. And I got everything I wanted out of that course, just talking with Mike and listening to Mike about, the history behind it. That is what makes this class special. 100%. Going through, why we need to carry and the history that's behind that as Americans. That it gets me pumped. Like I love my country. That's probably no surprise to anybody that knows me, but that's definitely something special.
Hell yeah. So one thing I will say is I have primary instructed a few Apache dudes. I've assistant instructed a bunch of Apache dudes, and I've trained with you guys as students. One thing I got to say continuously is that you dudes have improved as a student base tremendously since you all started doing this together. I know that that's something that you've worked hard on, all of you, and I know how much effort, Frank, you have. The mother hen stuff, like I know you're being like a little bit self-deprecating and a little bit silly, but also at the same time, Frank does a real good job of mother henning some dudes and make sure that everybody's on point for whatever task needs to be done. And and these guys take their reputations awful seriously too. It's cool to it's cool to see how that has progressed over the time that even I've known you guys. It's something I respect. So that being said, let's play each of you three Apache dudes off of your strengths a little bit, and I'm gonna give Zach one on one of his strengths. Zach, in a couple months, 2.5 months, I'm gonna be at Apache, and I'm gonna be teaching there. And when I am going to say the following words. This is Zach Cox. He's in charge of medical. Roger that. Roger that. So, being that, Zach, you're the medical guy, how do you think these dudes did in terms of emergency preparedness, medical planning? Did they have the stuff they needed to have? Did they have a plan? Did they share with you all the plan, et cetera, et cetera? Is that something you want to talk about? AAR, their plan and all that stuff?
No, I'd love to, actually, because I was impressed with it. They were on point with it. Kind of very similar to the way we do things at Apache. They had a plan. They had an exit plan. They divvied out jobs for everybody. Somebody calls 911. This person drives. I mean, everything, the whole 9 yards of where the med kit was. They asked who had medical experience. There was he was a paramedic, right? Or he was a paramedic on
John Wills.
John was such a cool guy. I loved him. It was cool to watch Frank and John, by the way. They're giggling down there at the end half the time. But no, it was really good. Everything went really well. It was well thought out, well planned. Not many things that I would nitpick. I think we did kind of say it, maybe have a sign or something that shows the address, because most people didn't know what the address was of where they were at, if they needed to call 911 for an incident or anything. But other than that, it was on point.
Yeah, have the number of 911.
Yeah, exactly. No, the address of the place, just in case, because most people wouldn't remember that in a crazy situation. And they had said normally they have like a sign that says med kit with an arrow pointing down, but yeah, the med kit was there in dead center the whole day, and it was always moving with us, and yeah, it was good.
Well, not to mention the fact that in every class that we're in, there's like 42,721 med kits, right? Like dudes are just like, tripping over themselves.
Tell them what John said at the beginning.
John, yeah, he basically said that I'm going to treat you with
very seriously.
Yeah, very seriously. He's like, I'm going to treat you with your med kit that you're carrying on you, and if you're not carrying one on you, oh well.
Sucks to be you.
Sucks to be you.
It got real quiet.
And Scotty thought he was serious at first. Quiet. He was just like, oh no, we're not.
And he was like, that was a joke. That was a joke.
Yeah, it was funny.
But real talk. So let's be real about this for a minute. If you are uncomfortable, if you'd have said that to me, and I've been like, good, right? Like, all right, fine, I'm cool with that. So if you're the person who hears that in a class and you're like, oh, fuck, that might tell you that what you've done is you've outsourced part of your safety to somebody else, which is exactly what the fuck we're not supposed to be doing in the first place, because we're supposed to be the guys and girls who have this stuff figured out, aren't we? Right?
Yeah, I knew it was a joke as soon as it came out of his mouth, but I'm thinking, like, this is actually fantastic. I want to steal this because I know that on my belt is from North American Rescue. And I know there's some people on this line. I know there's like, I'm going to save $12 and go on Amazon. And I'll bet they're thinking, maybe I should have gotten the cat. But
yeah, man. I mean, that whole thing, like that I have heard that. I don't know if he heard it in the same place I heard it, but I've heard it in a professional training environment before, said by an AI who was the med person. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. Bro. I got me just like, yes, good. That's exactly what these people should be concerned about right now. And he's telling that to Zach. He's like, don't, Zach, I'm going to treat you with the med kit you got on you. And Zach's like, well, here's the thing. You're going to have to paw through so much crap that I have on me that you're not going to know which of the 20 cats and 11 chest seals and 4,721 other pieces of equipment. You grab Zach and just pull this tab from the back, and med shit just goes poof and just starts flying everywhere. But no, seriously, that's it.
Slim Jims fall from the sky.
That's all. Yeah, that's
Slim Jims.
Slim Jims.
Yeah, Slim Jims.
I got a whole pack over there.
I know. There's lots of Slim Jims.
No, hey, recommendation though. I do have a critique.
Hit it. Go ahead,
And
please.
this is also a critique for Apache, but that's kind of changed when me and Frank are there, because me and Frank are normally running med. So been in classes where people ask who has medical experience, which I think is a dangerous ballgame. But if somebody actually is a paramedic, then great. They have more experience than like 10-fold what I do, 100-fold. But if that person is like, basically the instructor is like, okay, here's our med kit. Boom. You are the med person. And that person doesn't ask what's in that med kit. They may not have anything they need. It leaves a realm and the unknown. Does he have everything he needs in there? Does he know that? Do you know that? He may need more. You may be an instructor that doesn't have any tourniquets. I mean, there's so many things and variables in there.
Yeah.
I'd recommend start to look into that a little bit more, even for us too. Like if we ever ask anybody who has.
And I agree with that. You know, I knew that John was a paramedic and was a squared away dude. And I knew that he had his own full med kit. And normally in classes, when I'm teaching anyway, I'll ask, does anybody here have medical experience? If somebody's like, yeah, I'm a nurse, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and just assume that you work like in a nursing home or you're an at-home healthcare nurse or something. I'll say, awesome. You're going to assist me. I'm going to be med 1, you know. Sure. Now, if someone's like, yeah, I'm an ER doctor or yeah, I'm a paramedic, I'm going to look at you a little differently because, you probably have more experience than I do. And so then usually I pull them aside. We'll talk about what I have, where it is, and kind of go through the med kit. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. If you got someone who's like, yeah, I've got medical experience. Cool. You're med 1. What do you do? Oh, I'm a radiology technician.
Dude, this just happened to me. No shit. Hey man, anybody have med experience? This homeboy just like his hand just as high up as it could go. And I'm like, awesome. What are you doing? He goes, I'm a phlebotomist. I'm like, you get blood out of people. We're trying to keep blood in people. Sit the fuck down over there. That's not what I meant. Like, no.
Yeah. It's the natural question whenever asking someone, or asking a group, if you have medical experience, or if somebody claims that, hey, I'm a nurse or I'm a doctor, your natural question should be, in what?
Yeah.
Because, rewind to a few episodes ago when I responded to a motorcycle versus car accident, and there was a doctor and 3 nurses on scene. I'm handing them combat gauze. First of all, I was the only one with medical equipment on me. So I'm handing it to these nurses who miraculously already had gloves on by the time I had retrieved my kit from my car. And I start handing them stuff to bandage this dude's like 6-inch long gaping wound, exposing his elbow joint. And she's looking at these like combat gauze and these rolled gauze and all this other stuff like it's a foreign object. I'm like, wait a second. What kind of a nurse are you? Chiropractor? Oh God. Yeah.
And that was something about John too. Like, so I had my AFAC with me, and I brought it up on a line, and I didn't know him from Adam. Like, I had no idea that he was an instructor and anything like that. So I mean, he was just a good, well-rounded dude. So like, hey man, just to let you know, I got this kit here, and we busted open and flipped through it real quick. He's like, cool, squared away kit, we're good. If we need it, we got it. That one of those kind of things. Even though Gunset had their own. So I mean, it's. He was a really sharp dude. Again, topic for another time, but he was a pretty squared away dude.
I like
what are you eating, Kent?
I'm trying to swallow a fucking ice cube. It didn't go so well. And then I'm checking the meme Scott sent me. So that's the med stuff. Now let's go to Frank a little bit for the instructor stuff. So scale of 1 to 10, these dudes were how squared away, how prepared. Was there an obvious trajectory in the methodology? Was there a good mix between primary and secondary? And actually, let me ask this question first. Who was the primary instructor on this? Who was taking lead? Was it Mike or was it Scott?
It was Mike.
Okay, fair enough. I thought that might be the case. Kudos to the guy that owns the company for being able to run right seat. That's not easy to do all the time. Guys sometimes let their ego get in the way of that. That's not easy work. So how do you feel, Frank? How do you feel the class flowed? How do you feel the approach was?
Yeah, so overall, it flowed very well. All the normal like introductory stuff. This is who I am. Like I knew who was lead. I knew who was point the entire time. As far as the natural progression and the course content, man, it was so natural. It just flowed. It worked out really well. There were a couple things that I may have already mentioned to these guys. Just about like gear, like some gear considerations, specifically on like your firearm, your rifle, like the way that certain people use their slings and the way that certain people lay certain things out. One thing that was mentioned after we had already, went from prone. And again, it was suggested was, okay, well, fitment of the stock. What's that supposed to look like? That may have been something that could have talked about a little bit earlier in the day prior to us going out, and starting getting on the line and actually shooting. Same thing with like, sling considerations and stuff like that. They were talked about, but maybe showing some of that stuff may have been applicable at that time. But man, like I said, overall, as far as the caliber of instruction that was received, phenomenal. Like it really was. Like I really got a lot out of the history and the explanation of why. I mean, he really did great hitting that hard. Another criticism, and again, this is more of a, this is going to take time kind of thing, was more on the AI, the role that, Scotty ended up, taking. I had mentioned this to him already, but it's hard to kind of figure out the flow and work on a flow and knowing what's coming up. It would be better. I mean, I was there. Kent, you gave me this exact criticism one of the classes, that when you came, you're like, hey man, you should have been 10 steps ahead of the lead instructor, setting up the next thing, doing the next thing, knowing what you're looking for, knowing what you're planning for, one of those kind of things. So that was the same criticism that I'm going to pass on. So just gelling a little bit more, knowing as not necessarily knowing content better, but just knowing what's coming next and being to better prepare, knowing what you're looking for while, Mike is teaching. Some of that stuff, again, there's nothing wrong with how the course went. I think it would be a little more proactive on, working on things and, moving forward with the class.
So this is perfect timing. I'm so glad you bring this up because Justin is not in the panel tonight. He's not on the chat, which means I can say this and I won't have to hear about it tomorrow. This is perfect. This is really perfect. The job of the AI is maybe the most difficult job in this whole deal.
Yeah, 100%.
The primary instructor has to be cool, be good looking, be smart, and deliver content. Mike's got at least most of that covered, right? The job of the AI is to do every goddamn motherfucking thing else, to be the back, the eyes, the ears of his buddy. We love each other, right? We're all friends, which means that while Mike's up there doing the Mike thing, Scott's on the right or left flank of him or behind people going, y'all motherfuckers better not hurt my friend. Like, you guys better not make a mistake and get him hurt. The safety piece, the moving parts, the range setup, the med stuff, the mother hen, make sure dudes are drinking water, make sure the primary instructor is drinking water and taking care of him or herself, because it can be real easy to get lost in your own sauce and start to burn out, start to dehydrate yourself, start to not take enough of breaks or miss entire chunks or whatever, go off on a tangent, squirrel off on some other direction. The AI, that's tough sledding, man. That ain't easy work at all.
Yeah. No, and don't let me steer you astray. Scott was 100% there. He was 100% active. One of our guys, Sling'N, he ended up, falling out. He had some heat exhaustion. So, Scott was right there. He pulled him off the whole 9 yards. I didn't have any concerns with, making sure that Landon was getting what he needed. But it was more on the side of, I was listening, to some of the side conversation, listening to, the exchange between Mike and Scott, and, just because it's me. And, some of that could have been mitigated prior to the course so that they didn't have to think about, they didn't have to, back up and punt. It would just their flow would work a little bit easier. Mike would be able to sit back and not have to think about all this stuff. It would just happen. So it'd be a little more natural, a little more zen going on there. But like I said, it was, I don't want to paint a poor picture. That I just think that, there could be a better flow there, between them moving forward.
It could always be improved, man. It's stuff that we always work on.
And he mentioned this to me earlier, and I've been chewing on it all week because, like any type of way that we can improve, man, like I want to attack it, and I want to be the best version that we can. Well, one of the things I guess I've never really thought about, I completely take for granted how amazing my AIs have been. And, I've never really been in this role as an AI or really understood that. And, I'm used to being the lead instructor. And, I taught solo for a long time. And then, 4 or 5, 6 years ago is when Dave Hopdry started teaching with me, and he became my AI. And, dude, it might be 6 years since I set up a range. Like, usually I show up and the range is ready. And so I'm out there while they're in the classroom, and I'm like walking off this, trying to get the range, all the firing lines set up. I'm doing 50 yards, 25 yards, 7 yards, trying to make sure everything's straight. I'm like, what the hell? Why is this all crooked? And then Zach kept on being like, hey, the line's crooked. I'm like, it's an optical illusion. It's fine, But, like it was really challenging to stay on top of that. And, Mike at one point gave me some targets, and he was like, hey, hold on to these for me. What do? I fucking set them down, and I can't find them. And now we spend 5 minutes trying to find these, targets. So there was little things like that were 100% on me. And yeah, I totally gained a totally different appreciation for, that AI role. And I'm going to be treating my AIs a little bit differently, after this class. So
I cannot wait until my dudes hear this shit and they're like, hey, we want to raise. I'm like, I know. Like, no, it's so not. AI is something. It's something that every time I do it, I'm like, God damn, I don't want it. Like, I'm so glad I don't have to do this all the time, and it's so hard. Hosting is that way to a degree, and AI is even just that next level of like, man, you better be on your shit.
I'm going to throw a quick plug out there for that. So. Tiffany Johnson, she went through and had this course specifically on AIs, and that was world changing to me. It completely changed how I view coaches, RSOs, AIs, lead instructors, that role. And then putting that into application, that was the easiest, most smooth sailing classes that have ever been taught between Tim and I. All Tim had to think about was, presenting content. Like, he didn't have to think about anything else. All I had to think about was taking care of all the back end stuff. And it was easy. Like, I could do my job. He had his job, and the class just flowed. It just worked. Being able to sit back and call audibles, that a little bit of prep beforehand. But Tiffany Johnson, really just, if you get a chance, if you're listening to this, seek her out and, seek out a course or a webinar or something like that. I know she's got some stuff coming up. I'd really really change your point of view and how you view the AI role?
All right, cool. So real quick, it occurs to me I didn't do enough journalism, so I'm gonna do a little journalism right now, and I'm gonna define some terms for you. AI being assistant instructor. I said right seat, and Mike was sitting there going, yeah. So that to us means simply that if we're the primary person presenting content, this person directly to my right-hand man, right, is the guy who's handling everything else for me. That is the traditional assistant instructor. So that's what we're talking about. There's a bit of a, I don't want to call it a hierarchy, but a bit of a mutual professional respect thing that goes along with AIing. And I called that out earlier. Maybe some folks didn't miss it, or maybe some folks didn't catch it rather. Scott owns the company and AI'd for his employee Mike, if that's correct and fair, right? So that's something that is not an easy thing to approach, because if the AI in a particular class is usually the guy calling the shots for the company, it can be kind of a role reversal and can kind of sometimes be a little bit of a challenge, maybe an ego kind of thing. Obviously not in this group, but that always doesn't go so well. And then of course it's kind of like an act of selflessness and service to your fellow instructor and to students to be willing to be that dude who's like, yeah, man, I'll AI for you. I'll target bitch. I'll freaking push cars around. I'll run up and down the range 4,000 times to every time you have to take a step. I'll do whatever. That's that like servant leadership thing. That's pretty cool to see among a group of otherwise like-minded professionals. In most cases, the AI could probably freaking run the course content just as well as the primary. And that's always neat to see when it goes that way. So anyway, enough on that. But it just occurred to me that there's some new people out there tonight that AI might be like, they're like, what are you talking? Artificial intelligence? Like, Elon Musk is going to come put a microchip in my head or something. Not that AI. The assistant instructor is the AI. So anyway, so Frank, you're good on that. You hit all your points and all your stuff that you wanted to go with.
Yeah, I'm
Kent,
good.
do you mind if I, with your permission, sir, take over interviewer and ask a question?
Go right ahead, Frank.
This is going to see, a little report card for me and see if I, burn and fail here. I'm curious, the gentleman that took the class, I heard Kent say something about, overarching themes. Did you take away what I was trying to impart as to kind of the most important, the primary theme when it comes to us acquiring a rifle skill set? I know there were some minor themes like consistency, efficiency, but was there a theme that I correctly was able to transmit of what I'm trying to do in this class?
Because we're Americans and we can.
America? I was about to say.
Yeah, not the American
rifle.
Chubb, something else when it comes to the technical skill sets.
Technical skill sets.
I would say exactly what we just said. The American rifleman is being able to understand, know your rifle, know how to use your rifle, and effectively get hits on target, no matter what the range is.
I think what he might be getting at is more of, the direct correlation between pistol and rifle. I mean, that they relate 100%, no questions asked. He said it clear as day in class. You are going from this to this. I mean, it's as simple as that. At the end of the day, it's press trigger, don't disrupt sights. It's the same. Now the manual of arms is different, but that just comes with practice and experience, and there's other considerations as far as movement, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, technically it's pretty much the same. So if you're proficient with the handgun,
I appreciate that. I was putting myself out on the line there. It's something I've thought a lot about, and that I haven't. I'm guarantee other people do it. I just haven't heard as much. As one of my golden rules is that anytime I can take a skill that I've already anchored as a handgun shooter, because us tier none operators, us average Joes, we walk around with a handgun every single day. And, I'm a rifle instructor, but I still shoot my handgun more than I do my rifle. And I've taken a lot of handgun training. So anytime I can take a handgun skill that's already anchored up here in my neuros, and I can apply that to my rifle, unless there's a major reason not to do that, I'm going to choose that every day. So, you get 100%. About some variations of some things, thumb forward versus thumb over bore. I'm like, okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of both of those and make sure you understand. And now let's see, okay, what might we do with a handgun? How you orient your gear on your belt. Let's talk about pros and cons of everything so you can figure out what works for you. But maybe your emergency reload should be on your belt rather than your first emergency reload being up here on your rig. Because if I, go dry, my brain says, oh shit, reload. And I'm going to go to my belt and be, okay, good, it's there.
Yeah, I really liked that, by the way.
Yeah, I think that was a big confidence booster for me because I'm fairly confident with a pistol, but when it comes to rifle, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. So when going into the class, I kind of had the mindset like, here's pistol, here's rifle, two separate things completely. And then we started teaching like that, I was like, oh, okay, I can run a pistol just fine. So I now have permission to think of a rifle in some ways like I think of a pistol and allow those worlds to collide and mesh together. And that I feel like that took me a kind of jumped me up like a skill level or confidence level, just knowing that I can cross paths with the two skill sets. So that was really good for me.
I agree with you, Trey.
Yeah. Love it. I talk a lot about how the support hand does the same thing, whether it's a pistol, rifle, or shotgun. Like the support hand has a very limited scope of importance until it doesn't.
Don't be a bitch.
Hand. Yeah, don't be a bitch. Anyway, we don't even have to go. See, we don't even have to go down that rabbit hole. It's already been crossed. We don't even have to go there. It's perfect. So that's all well and good. Now I'm gonna ask Trey. Trey's over there thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna get out of this. And now I'm gonna make Trey talk about something. So I had Zach talk about the med brief and the safety. I had Frank talking about the POI and how well it was executed from an instructor and a management standpoint. Now I'm gonna ask Trey because I know this is his specialty. Trey's real good at being quiet and reading the room, right? So Trey, how was the instructional content received by the other members of your group?
I think they ate it up like it was like chocolate pie. They were all over it. They were engaged. I think they wanted to be there. They wanted to learn, and they stayed engaged the entire time. Nobody was kind of going off in a corner and just playing around and losing interest. Like they held the class very well the entire time. I never lost interest. I know nobody else did either. They did a good job.
How about the folks in the class who were not Apache North Carolinians? So here's the deal. What I'm actually saying about Trey is that Trey is really good at noticing outward impressions from other people. He picks up on these things better than your average bear. So was there anybody? I guess I'll just say it like this: were there any hoes in this class?
No, there are definitely no hoes. We've been getting lucky. We've been getting lucky in a lot of classes here recently. We don't have many of those anymore. Like we're getting lucky and finding a bunch of good students as well.
We didn't have that guy. That guy didn't show up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. That guy in that class didn't. He wasn't there. Not at all. Mm-hmm. Now, and that's to Mike's benefit. So, he tackled some really complicated concepts, and I think that it's hard to criticize a concept and hard to say, well, this could have been done better if you don't have any constructive way of being able to say how to make it better. But I think the way that he tackled like the concept about how to adjust your optics, the inches to MOA to clicks, that whole conversion. While that may have got some people in the weeds, I honestly don't see a better way yet of being able to explain it than the way that he explained it. So, and then if somebody said, hold up, okay, I don't understand, he stopped and he took time to make sure they understood before we moved on. So I think, that's an accolade to the instructor of seeing, okay, well, this person's not quite getting it. Let me switch it up a little bit. Let me explain it in this way. Maybe this way will stick. One of our guys, he had asked a question and he was immediately jumping from inches to clicks. And like he was stuck in a rut. He was in a mental loop. And I think Mike finally got him over that. Man, there's one more piece of the pie. You're missing it. You got 1/3. You got 1/3. You're missing the whole middle piece here that we have to tackle before you can get to the rest of it. So by being able to explain that, we were able to move forward with the course. But
and that's fantastic feedback.
You don't want to spin that turret like the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, right.
That's right. If I could throw out just a little tip, to any maybe new instructors out there, the one thing, if you have a lesson like that might be like, okay, this might be the stretch, and I always lose about 5% of people on the line on this lesson, I make a point to say, hey, go hydrate, make sure every single person comes back with your notebook and your pen. All right, go get a drink, notebook and pen. And if somebody doesn't come back, I can, shame you a little bit. You didn't follow instructions. Notebook, pen, make sure to write this down. Write this down, talk a little bit, write this down, and then, reinforce that throughout the day a couple times and be okay. Read your notes and be thinking about that. Hit me up with any questions you got. You got my number, blah, blah, blah. Write it down.
Hold on. I'm going to give you a perfect example of this because Mike Lewis and Cameron Hayes told me to write this down. Ready? 1 MOA equals 1.047 of an inch. And that 0.047 don't fucking matter till it does. So stop saying that 1 inch shit, dumbass instructor. Pow, pow, pow. Okay, there. See? I learned. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Hayes, I learned something. Anyway.
But that's really important to me. I mean, that's one of my favorite lessons that we do, because another one of my overarching themes is that, as American riflemen, but just as Americans, we need to be deliberate, precise, and efficient in every single thing that we do. Anything we undertake, we want to be deliberate. Think about what it is. Why am I going to do it? Be precise, be efficient, accomplish the task in the least amount of time and energy that it takes. So using that minute of angle, if you can understand that, which it's really just some 6th grade math, there's really nothing big there. It might take you a little bit of thinking at home, but you can fire one shot, and if you call it good, if you called your shot and use those fundamentals, and then you go down and you take a measurement, and you can be precise in your measurement of inches, be precise in your translation to minutes, walk back, be precise in your translation to clicks. You can make your click adjustment, plop down into prone. If you use good fundamentals, you fire one more shot, and if you call it good, you're like, okay, I'm done. 2 rounds, I'm zeroed.
I love
now,
it.
obviously, you should do more than that. We need to do 3 or 5 to confirm, but that's pretty great to do when there's an ammo crunch and when there's, a lot of brand new rifle owners that don't understand how sights work and what a minute of angle is and how they combine.
Right, because that thing where the things cross in the middle of the thing, the looky thing, that bullet's going to hit where that thing is, no matter where the thing is, right?
Right.
No? Shit. Okay.
What's the most important shot's the first shot. You got to make that first one count.
That's it. So I almost feel like I should play a drum roll because I'm going to ask the question that Tim Kelly and Landon Nelson and like 4 other dudes in chat have been just like, da, 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 da. Yeah, there you go, Mike.
Hang on. Before you ask the question, can I tell you something real quick?
Go ahead, Zach.
Hang on. Let Frank put his ears on. All right, Frank. So he's about to ask the question. So please give your history spiel, because when he was doing that during the class, you may save it for the class, but Frank was right behind me during your history lesson of American riflemen and why we carry rifles, all that stuff. And Frank was praising Jesus back there. He was like, amen, amen, and just clapping. And
I was getting hype.
Dude, and then he started getting hype. He was like, get it, yeah. And he started praising Jesus, man.
Okay.
Continue.
So, I was getting there, Zach. I'm with you.
I know. I'm sorry. I got
That's okay. Landon has been, just the Landon bear that he is, just pulling the salmon out of the stream. Just like, come on, baby. Come on, I want it. I want to hear it. So, Mike, why does the average concealed carry civilian need to be proficient with and own a rifle?
It comes down to one word. And I'm going to tell you what that one word is here in a minute. So bear with me. If you open up any history book right now and you look at any curriculum, like, you're not going to learn why our war for independence started. The Revolutionary War, you're going to read about, hopefully the Boston Massacre. You're going to read about the Boston Tea Party, some things like that. You're not going to read about the literal decades and decades of further infringements that kept coming upon our forefathers, and how we would react was always diplomatically. We would send emissaries, we would send writs, we would, form our own legislatures here, and we've been ruling ourselves since the Mayflower came over. If you read the Mayflower Compact, that is a governing body right there. But every single time that the British rule had tried to come in and take and oppress, we always responded with diplomacy until it was April 19th, 1775, when 800 of the world's best trained and most feared military the world had ever seen, our own British regular army, our own redcoats, had a secret mission undertaken. And General Gage had sent them out west from Boston, and they had two tasks that they were supposed to try to achieve. About 15 miles west of Boston, a town called Lexington, they were supposed to go there and arrest two men, Samuel Adams and John Hancock. No writ, no warrant, no formal charge. It was only because those two men had been so vocal throughout the colonies in their speech. It was only because of speech that the ruling military did not like. So that was task number one. They failed at that. Task number two then was to march another 9 miles or so to Concord, further west, and their mission there was to confiscate arms, ball, powder, muskets, rifles. Thankfully, they didn't get any, because due to Paul Revere's anti-phonetry, we'd already been tipped off. There were plans that had been put in place 10 years before. There were small children out in fields burying that ball and those arms in the furrows of a cornfield. This was April, so this was planting time. Can you imagine asking your 7-year-old boy?
Don't finish your sentence, dude. I will fucking punch my computer.
And
the
bury arms knowing that the redcoats are marching past? Can you imagine the courage and the adherence to principle that those parents were able to put their children in danger for something like that? But anyway, they failed to capture arms in Concord. They got very little. They weren't just going for arms. They were also supposed to confiscate anything that they deemed to be of military value. So anything that a family at that time had surplus of, that'd be deemed like, hey, you've got 2 parents, 2 kids. What are you doing with all that extra wheat? Why do you have 2 dairy cows? 1 should be enough. They were supposed to confiscate all of that: food, clothing, firewood, livestock, and either massacre it or slaughter it or burn it. They failed in all that. Most of it was already taken out of town. But that was the point. That was the tipping point after decades and decades of maintaining the moral high ground at all costs. The only way that you can defeat a superior force like that hundreds of years ago was maintain the moral high ground at all costs. And it wasn't until an armed force came to confiscate arms that we decided, well, that's the last straw. And now our war for independence has gone from a war of words to a war of ball. And hundreds and thousands of people showed up on that day, colonists, and they made the redcoats pay on their long march back east to Boston after failing in both of their missions. So just a little bit of history there to throw out, why does it matter why should we strive to be modern riflemen? Like, what does that even mean? And, let's take a look at the Second Amendment real quick. A lot of us have that memorized, right? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. That phrase, well-regulated, that's really interesting to me. Well-regulated in the language in 1791 did not mean well-neutered. It didn't mean well-legislated. It fucking meant well-supplied and well-trained. That's what well-regulated meant, and that's what it still means today. And there's all kinds of documentation that backs that up. You can go look at Federalist 26 and see Alexander Hamilton's words. I was rereading it a few weeks ago, and I screenshotted it. Go to our Facebook page, and you'll see it with your own eyes. What well-regulated means is basically well-supplied and well-trained. That is the vision for what it takes to have a free state. For every man, woman, child, the militia, the people, all of the people, as George Madison said it, to be well-regulated, well-supplied, and well-trained. So we can't let that fall on our watch. It's our job to make sure that we're well-trained, we're well-supplied. We talk a lot about Daniel Morgan, and we do a really fun test in our classes, and what he was able to put together in forming an elite corps of riflemen. Those men and the test that they had to pass could only be done with rifled barrels. That's equipment that's superior to what the redcoats carried, the Brown Bess musket. Rifled barrels are far superior, far more accurate. So well-supplied, well-trained, well-regulated meant better than what the redcoats had. That's what we need to strive for. If that was their understanding and the standard that they held for themselves, being better trained and better supplied than their own redcoats, I think that's a pretty good standard for today. Not to get all into it, but that test that Daniel Morgan put his men through to see if you could be part of his elite corps of riflemen was one shot in front of everybody at a bucket that was about the size of a human head, 250 paces away. We do that test in this class. Not many people can do it with our modern equipment, with our AR-15s and our, uniformly loaded. So there were 3 Apache guys that everybody who made it, other than me, were all 3 Apache guys. Not many people make that. We see about 10% of the students in our class can make that. That seems like a pretty good standard that we should try. If that's what they held themselves to, we can hold ourselves to. And the thing that I really want to drive home with all this is that, the media, every institution, every major institution that talks about us paints us as whack job militia, the Patriot movement, talk about overthrowing this or insurrection that. And that's not what this is about. That's not what any of this was ever about. What this is about is peaceful solution through deterrence. That's the one word. Why should everybody own and be able to be proficient with a modern sporting rifle? Deterrence. We train in this so that we never have to use it. We are well regulated so that we would never even have to dream of these skills. And that's how it's been for hundreds of years. That's why we've never had any foreign enemy attack the mainland of the United States. Admiral Yamamoto in World War II says that the Japanese didn't invade the mainland because behind every blade of grass would be an American rifle or an American rifleman. Deterrence is why we do this. So we never have to use these skills. That's the only way to ensure that we never have to use these skills is if we have them and if we keep them.
God almighty. I'm going to tell you right now, dude, if you were listening to that and your blood wasn't boiling with a mixture of rage and agreement, you're probably on the wrong podcast. Just saying. Man, I'll tell you what. So that was good. That was damn good. That was all I could ask for it to have been. I knew that it was that way when I met you and when we talked about this, in person and et cetera. I was like, man, this dude's got a different, deeper level of mindset. So I think it only fitting, honestly, to end the show at that level, because that's like, first of all, there's no fucking topping that. There's nothing smarter that I like. There's no way I can ask another question that's going to lead us down a better rabbit hole than that. But also, I'm going to ask you, Mike, in particular. One of the questions that I always ask during this show is some recommended reading, right? And what better question to ask than, where the hell did you get all that from? So give us some recommended reading, not about guns, not about med gear, not about teaching shooting, but give us some history stuff that people should read that they don't read.
That's good. Yeah. So sometimes this makes people mad because I get that question a lot, actually, and I got to answer. The older I get, the more value I find, and the more important it is. I believe you need to go read the book and just skip over the book about the book. So I've got, looking at my bookshelf right now, one of 6 of them. I've got a lot of books about the book, but start with the Federalist. I mean, go with the Federalist Papers, and then you can go side by side with the Anti-Federalist Papers, which I guess maybe you can take a guess which one I like better. When my kid came home with a tiny little 12-page, he's in 2nd grade, right? Tiny little 12-page, This is Alexander Hamilton book. I'm like, ooh, here we go. Here we go. What do you know about this? What do you think about this, Parker? I named my son Parker after Captain John Parker, leader of the Lexington militia, who stood on that green that day with 72 of his fellow kin and neighbors as they watched those red carts march toward him. Start with the Federalist. Read the Anti-Federalist Papers. I'll tell you what, hey, we got Independence Day coming up. Here's my number one recommendation, and I will feel it in the force, and I will just get a warm and fuzzy. Every single Independence Day tradition that we have, we do the barbecue. I wear some ridiculous, American paraphernalia clothing. We do that whole thing. We have a couple beers. But before the festivities start, we say a prayer. We pray, we say grace, and then we pass around and we read aloud the Declaration of Independence. The whole thing. It's not that long. It takes 5-7 minutes. Pass that around and have, a representative of each family that you have at your barbecue read a paragraph of that thing. A lot of people know the preamble and they know the beginning of that. But when you get to the part as there's the whole list of grievances, which is laid out beautifully. The reason they did that is to maintain the moral high ground at all times. And you go through that list of grievances and you see that King George has deployed all types of agents to interfere in every walk of our life and business. Like, woo. Read the Declaration of Independence. How about that for a start? And if everybody does that on Independence Day, I promise you it'll make it that much finer.
Very cool. So we got the Federalist Papers. We got the Declaration of Independence. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you want one of the best historical accounts ever written, my favorite story is the story of Paul Revere and Lexington and Concord. There's a book called Paul Revere's Ride, and it's by David Hackett Fisher, Fischer. It's fantastic because it gives you the play-by-play, all the tactics, but it talks about the individual, ordinary, tier none shopkeepers, priests, farmers that stood on that day for liberty so we can be here. So that's a great read.
Very, 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 very cool. Appreciate you for that. we're gonna let you guys get back to your closing remarks and stuff then. But the next question we always ask is for a charity. And you guys as the guests get to pick your charity. We had talked about that before the show. What was it you guys were gonna do?
We really like and appreciate the fine folks at the Fisher House. If folks are not familiar with them, it's kind of sort of like a Ronald McDonald House, but on military basis for military specifically. So as folks that are coming back are wounded warriors, or veterans, or anybody affiliated with them that needs medical treatment, the Fisher House provides the families care and support and sometimes housing and just a place to unwind and to go for some comfort and to have a friendly face to talk to and get a warm meal while they're undergoing some pretty incredible ordeals. So we really like the Fisher House. We support them. We thank them for what they do. And thank you for all your philanthropy. It's amazing that you guys do that every show.
Yeah, appreciate it. So for those of you that don't know, Sling'N podcast donates proceeds of T-shirt sales about this evening's episode to the charity of choice. So in this case, it will be Fisher House. TJ's got the links going. TJ's got a shirt already dedicated to you guys. And if you buy the shirt, TJ, what's the shirt called?
So if you follow the link below, you will find it. slingledpodcast.creator-spring.com/listing/gunset. And, just when I think that with all these guests and all the conversation that happens, it gets harder and harder to really just be inspired by any one thing. But damn it, Mike, do you know how to deliver? So this one is dedicated to your eloquent, albeit abbreviated, delivery of the history of Lexington Concord. So this one is a casual reminder by any who might be wearing it to those who might be reading it about the sacrifices and struggles and bravery of the men, women, and children that all took place to make that happen. So God willing, people will follow through with your recommended reading and educate themselves on the history of Lexington and Concord. And, if they ever have somebody come up and ask them about the names on that shirt, they will be able to, as eloquently, if not as thoroughly, explain the significance of what happened at those locations.
Hell yeah, man. So that is the Lexington and Concord shirt that is available on our Teespring site right now. So to be very clear, Sling'N podcast donates the proceeds to the charities of choice if you want to go get the shirt. If you don't want to go get the shirt, I would very highly encourage you to just check out the Fisher House charities and donate directly without having the shirt. Like, it's not about us. We're not taking profit on it. It's not like that. Please go donate regardless. So we appreciate that real quick. Another somber but necessary note is suicide awareness. We have to bring this up and discuss it, because we have to bring it up and discuss it. Those of you who may or may not be aware of the Civilian Carry Radio podcast program probably know the gentleman and who founded it, Baraka James, is no longer with us. So yeah, if there's somebody in your life that you think might need some help, please reach out to that person. He was good enough to reach out to us and help us with a podcast and give of his time and, encourage us to come on and compete with him in the podcast space, for Christ's sakes. And has been helpful and done so many things for so many good people. So if you're hearing sound of my voice and you got a friend or a loved one that you feel like, hey, maybe I should check on that dude or that girl, you should check on that person. Please do that. We won't do the suicide charity thing for tonight because Fisher House is so appropriate. But just check on the people you care about. That's all we would ask in times like this. And I don't have any specific details. I don't want to talk about his family in any more detail. I really want to just leave it like that and give him our best respects and the people that love him and so forth. So that being said, let's see what else. Let's go around the horn real quick and just hit everybody up individually. Everybody that's not a host of the Sling'N podcast, let the guys do their final thoughts, their plugs, their stuff they wanted to say that they didn't get to say. Maybe Scott will tell us about his furry friend on his shoulder. Who knows? But whatever it is that you guys got for us, please leave it with that, and then we'll close the show out. Whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Well, fine. I'll go first.
Yeah, there we go.
Again, we really appreciate you guys letting us come on here and give these guys some constructive feedback. As always, Kent and TJ, we really appreciate you guys with this podcast and everything that you guys do with the charities and the whole 9 yards. It means a lot to us, and you guys are good friends. With that, go ahead and plug Apache real quick. You can find us at ApacheNC.com. Find us on Instagram, Apache Solutions LLC. You can find Mr. Joltre over here and his fantastic photos and Cold Drill Fridays and all that fun stuff. I think his business is snapshots.co.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, snapshots.co.
Snapshots with a Z.
With a Z, snapshotswithaz.co. As far as Apache, we've got a bunch of classes coming up. Let's see, July 10th, basic pistol. July 17th, advancing everyday carry. We got Kent, your class is coming up August 14th and 15th. Green Mountain Defense is going to be down here. So defensive pistol metrics. So that's going to be an awesome class. Looking forward to that. Again, check us out on at the website. Check us out on Eventbrite. We have a lot of good stuff coming up through the pipe. We got Gunset, actually. They're coming down in November, right, guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So check out their Eventbrite page for that, and we're looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. What do you got, Trey? What's that? What's the name of your website that you didn't want to tell anybody about, but we all told everybody about?
It's snapshotswithaz.co, so .co without the M. And I'm on Instagram, got my own website. No Facebook yet, so it's Instagram and our website. But thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for shouting us out. It's always a pleasure. Kent and TJ, and then Scott and Mike, thanks for phenomenal class and all the hospitality. It's been a great weekend, and this is a great way to end it. And pleasure seeing all y'all. Thank you.
What about you, Mr. Zach?
Yeah, thank you guys, for real. It was wait. It was an incredible weekend. It was so great to meet you guys. Y'all were top-notch men. There he is. Go ahead. Slow-mo. Yeah, thank y'all for everything. I wrote down some highlights. It'll make you laugh. Swales by Moonlight. Pit Vipers. Semi-wreck.
Wait. Semi what?
Wreck. Okay. Goat Story.
The goat
bouncing
story.
in the back of the bus and having bruises everywhere. And the things we did to that fox before it got to you.
Don't care. Can't ruin it for me.
Don't care.
Oh, I love it. Hey, Ken, I'm going to go next. If you hear me rattle on about history, have me on some time to tell my goat story. Apparently, that's a fan favorite. I want to say one thing. I love you guys. I really do. Each and every one of you. Love you guys. We don't see each other in person very often, but this is fantastic. Just to know you're out there. I love you guys. That's all I got.
Right back at you.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll second all that. It was an awesome weekend, and I just appreciated the time spent. I appreciate you guys making the effort to come down and surprise us. I mean, that meant a lot to me on a personal level, and I just think it's so cool and so rare for instructors. I feel like there's so much competition in our industry sometimes, and not enough support of each other and building each other up. We all are united in our shared goal of trying to educate people in matters of self-defense, self-reliance, and appreciation of the liberties that we have. And so, I'm so proud of the network and the friendships that we've built and everything that you guys are accomplishing. And I feel blessed and honored that you guys count us among your peers and friends. I'm always my harshest critic, and I think that's what drives me on a personal and professional basis. And so when you guys were showing up, man, like I was nervous isn't the word, but there was a pressure. I wanted the class to go well, and there's no such thing as a perfect class. There's always things that you can do better and you can learn from. And a lot of people would have just been like, oh yeah, pat you on the back, you did great. It means a lot that you guys, actually, gave us some constructive feedback, and I promise you it will be implemented. I think you guys all know why Mike is part of our team. And I don't consider him at all an employee. He's a partner, a trusted partner, and I think what he's doing is incredibly important. And I'm just so lucky to have a guy like him on my team working alongside me. He'll tell you. I mean, where's he? Over here? Yeah, over there.
Yeah, you got him.
He is. He's my guy. He talks me off ledges when I'm about to explode. He's the guy that takes my phone call whenever I call him. He answers, and so So thank you, Mike, for everything you do for Gunset and for our students. As far as this guy right here, this is now my most prized possession. I don't care what was done to it before. It was given to me in a pure act of love and kinship, and I will never forget that moment that Eddie bestowed this upon me, and he laid it on my shoulders. And this fox right here will be going to every Gunset class from this moment on, and he is going to be part of the Gunset lore. And if you are skilled enough and proficient enough and brave enough, and you don't crack under pressure, and you succeed where others have failed, you might get the chance to have this bestowed upon you for a short time. I'm going to need him back, but you might get to wear the Fox of Glory for a short time, maybe even for a photo op or something like that. You got to earn it, though. It's not going to be just given out. It's going to be something that's earned. And so anyway, thanks for this weekend, guys. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for tonight, Kent. We appreciate you guys, and you guys are awesome. Yeah, we love you guys.
Very cool, very cool. So I didn't uphold my journalistic principles one more time. I should have asked the all-important question on the internet circa 2011. What does the fox say? Anybody? No?
I'm not going to do it. No.
Come on, do it.
Zach will do it.
Is it too late to change the shirt of the night?
Well, no, we can't. It's because it's for a charity. So now if we change the shirt of the night, it has to go to the National Fox Foundation or something.
Yeah, don't worry. Gunset's going to come out with the Fox.
It's our show. We can have whatever shirt go to whatever charity we prefer.
This is true. But again, I guess I feel the need to ask, what does the fox say? Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, I thought I was going to get left hanging the whole time. Oh God. So, man, TJ, 78 of these, 77 of them were good. There's one maybe not so good. No, but in all seriousness, man, what an honor to be able to continue to push these topics forward. Continue to bring you guys quality firearms training related mindset, all this information. I'll do my own shameless self plugs, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Right? www.greenmountaindefense.com/training. If you would like to get on range with me and hear dad jokes in person instead of over the interwebs, That'd be a great way to do it. Love to have you at class. Excited to get onto Apache for defensive pistol metrics. That's going to be a good one. Got some more hosting coming up and some more classes of our own. That's where you can find all that information. I would, oh dear Lord, Miss T says, "Can't make it stop." Teresa, if there's one adult in the room, you know it's Teresa. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I apologize. Anyway,
I'm only sorry we don't have a pair of these damn glasses
yeah,
yet.
me too. Yeah, me too. GreenMountainDefense.com/training. Come hit me up. Come get out. I'd be honored. That being said, my best friend in the world and I would not produce and host a firearms training related podcast if it was about just training with me. That's not what we're here for. Newsflash, tonight has been somewhat of an impromptu infomercial for the Gunset dudes. They're in Ohio. You could, if you wanted to be a shithead about it, view them as our competition, and that's not how we do it. Scott talked about it already. We're here to build each other up and push people forward, not backward. So Green Mountain Defense maintains a list of people that you should train with. GreenMountainDefense.com / what is it? TJ, help me. What's the freaking resource list? What's the reading list? I don't know. Click the reading list link on the Green Mountain Defense website, and under that you'll see a
resources.
Yeah, that's it. GreenMountainDefense.com / resources. You will see Gunset training along with many other quality firearms training companies listed there. That means that I think you should train with them. Alumni, I'm talking to you, as well as if you for whatever reason can't make it to Central PA but can make it to Central Ohio, good. These guys are here for you and they stand ready to help you out. So please do that. We'll shout them out by name right now. Apache Solutions, Vigor Training, Phil, Jesus, I'm wearing your shirt. Here you go. 360 Performance, Tim Heron Shooting, Modern Samurai Project, Green Ops, Gunset Training, Range Master. The list goes on and on and on of quality firearms training that you could participate in.
See also the video catalog for this channel.
Yeah, no shit. We've done our very best to get as many of them as possible to come here and talk on our platform. If they've been on here, that means we've endorsed them, which means you should go experience what they have to offer. I'm being serious. More than once, I've had somebody hit me up and say, yeah, I can't make it there. Where can I go? I will do my damnedest. I'll get in the instructor groups on Facebook. I'll dig around. If you hit me up from Walla Walla, Washington, and tell me that you can't train with me, who should you train with? I'm going to give you a list of 3 people. That's just what we're trying to do here. We're trying to push the cause forward. So there's no excuse whatsoever not to get out, not to find yourself quality firearms related and medical related instruction. So please, 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 please do so. If I can help you in any way, Kent@greenmountaindefense.com is the real no shit email address that I run my business from. So hit me up. I'd be happy to help you. I'm very, 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 very serious about that. Let's see what else. We've said gun a lot, and gun and firearms and training and all that. We haven't said medical. Code BB15 will help you out at Dark Angel Medical. You should get medical equipment. You should get training. You should know how to handle yourself from more than just the aspect of violence. You should be able to plug holes if you intend to make them. So please go get medical training. Please, 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 please. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, and then how about the guy?
Can I throw one more thing in there real fast?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
One thing that I think we've managed to somehow forget. I know Frank had mentioned that we are going to be down at Apache in November. We're not doing exactly this class. We're doing a 2-day class, which is going to encompass everything that we covered in this class that these guys just took. But then we're also going to be incorporating our Rifle 2 class in day 2. We're going to expound upon a lot of the ideals and going a lot more in depth. I shudder to say the word advanced. We're not going to be jumping into advanced skills, but we are going to be honing and expounding upon the principles that we work on in day 1. So if you guys, like the sound of the class that these guys just took this last weekend, that's going to be day 1 of our rifle class, and then day 2 is going to be even more. So
you better get in it, because I know at least 8 dudes that are going to be in it this time.
Yeah, maybe 9. So,
Yeah, maybe not.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, Scotty. While you're at it, what's your calendar? Where can people find your stuff? How can they hit all that up?
Yeah, so if you want to see what we're about, traingunset.com is our website. If you want to go directly to see what classes we've got coming up, you can get there through traingunset.com, or you can go to traingunset.eventbrite.com. Coming up this weekend, we have 2 classes on Sunday. Mike and a couple of the other guys are going to be teaching our Ohio concealed carry class, our basic pistol safety course. And then me and Dave and a couple of guys are going to be teaching the CCW standards course, or our pistol standards course, I apologize, which is kind of our flagship pistol class. July 10th, we're going to be having our shotgun, home defensive shotgun course, which is always just such an amazing class. So that's what we got coming up. At the end of this month, we're hosting Dave Jenkins for a USCCA instructor course. And that Friday before that, we're going to be doing a separate standalone instructor development course. So anybody who is a firearms instructor who wants to come to that is a class that's designed to just give you some more tools in the toolbox for instructors. So yeah, we've got a real busy month next several weeks, where it's just going to be bam, 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 lots of classes.
Very, very cool. So traingunset.com.
Yes, sir.
Very, very cool. Let's see. Where did I leave off? I don't remember. I do remember. I know where I was going to go. And then lastly, but not leastly, the specialist of special shout outs to Apache Solutions. The reason there's an AAR podcast this evening is because Frank asked me if there could be one, right? These dudes have done nothing but help us drive fantastic content on this show, and have continued to further firearms training in the community in ways that I cannot wait. I keep saying this to Tim on the phone and hanging out in person and everything else. I can't wait until we're the old guys, like we're like 60 or something, and talking about how these new kids on the Insta book face don't know how to do this firearms training. I'll tell you right now, man, there are some fantastic things going on in Yadkinville, North Carolina. If you don't know where Yadkinville, North Carolina is, don't worry. Neither the fuck do I, and I've been there like 3 times. Nobody does. But you should probably go
this
there.
This fox is from down there. That's where they got this fox at.
Yeah, that's a Carolinian. That's a Carolinian red fox right there. If I ever done seen one, I'll tell you right now, Tater. But no, in all seriousness, one thing that I can tell you is that the torches are being passed to younger firearms training businesses and younger trainers. And we're talking about ourselves like we're young and we're all damn near 40 or whatever. But it's pretty cool to see the development of the industry and the business at large. And Tim and the rest of y'all down there are no slouches and have done some fantastic things. So just real quick, Frank, thank you for surprising our friends and showing up to their rifle class like you always do, you and your craziness. And thank you for hitting me up and go, hey, bro, can we do a podcast on this one of these days? And for being a catalyst. You've done more of that than you realize personally. And of course, the rest of the Apache guys, y'all have been so supportive and so cool. So special shout out to Apache, ApacheNC.com. Yes, Frank.
Yep.
Very good. ApacheNC.com if you want to train down there. And you can buy Tim Kelly's Never Do That Again, Sir t-shirt from the Sling'N Led podcast merch store, or whatever terrible nonsense TJ made, except for the right one. It's supposed to say, don't ever do that again. Instead, it says, sir, please do not continue, or some whatever nonsense t-shirts. It's not saying that way. And I'm wearing, oh, shut up, Siri. And I'm wearing one to go down there. I'm gonna buy that t-shirt from myself and wear it.
Please do.
Oh, yes, you better believe I am.
We all need to buy those t-shirts and show up TD1 of your cores wearing those shirts.
Oh, yeah.
It's not much. It's not much, but it's honest work.
Shit. Oh, my God. TJ, my friend, you get the last word. Love you, brother. Get us out of here, would you?
Of course, folks. Appreciate everybody. Mike, Scott, Zach, Joel, Trey, Frank, Kent, you too. Appreciate all of you guys as always. Folks, we're happy to bring this content to you as frequently as we possibly can. But nothing in life is free. And while we continue to try to present it to you in a free format, we do need your support. So if you head on over to greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links, you will see a list of all of our affiliate links for various vendors from across the firearms industry. You're going to buy gun stuff anyway. You might as well buy it from our registered affiliates. Costs you nothing extra, gives us a little kickback on the side so we can keep doing what we're doing and providing you this show free of charge. So with that, folks, that says it all for us here. Until we see each other again, God bless you all. Take care of each other and get out and shoot.
See ya.
Bye.